dear Bagginses and Boffins.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about the Rings of Power trailer, but this time Sean Astin is weighing in. That's right. Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings trilogy is reacting to the new Amazon show coming out this fall. And I guess a surprise to most is Sam seems to like it. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I maybe not too surprising considering he is in the business and maybe doesn't want to step on any toes.
Wants to get that cameo.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting and aged Samwise Gamgee cameo in a prequel. But yeah, I mean,
we know the timeline doesn't matter anyway. So
wow, we've become really cynical about this show that we're gonna be reviewing when it comes out. We are gonna keep an open mind going forward. As you know, we've pointed out some criticisms, but we're gonna try to roll with the punches and see what they can put together for us. What I will say though is that he does make some good points, which is the trailer is different, and it doesn't look exactly like the trilogy, but that's kind of okay. The trilogy's out there. It is well known. It won awards. Everyone knows that this thing is what kind of kicked off a lot of these big budget trilogies and so forth back in the early 2000s. So the fact that it's there, if people haven't seen it yet, it's because they don't want to. But this, they might be more interested in seeing something that is a little bit different than what the original trilogy offers. I obviously love the original trilogy. That's my preferred aesthetic. But I can see someone saying, hey, this is a different look. Let's try something different just to see if we can have other people come look. Because you and I were going to watch this regardless of what it looked like. I mean, if this was people wearing, I don't know, modern day clothes running around, we'd probably still watch it. We still want to see what they're going to do with Lord of the Rings. So we're going to watch it, but they're trying to get some other people to see it. And so, yeah, he says he's excited. He says he saw the preview and it gave him chills. And it looks like they got it. There's no way Amazon is going to pay almost $1 billion for a franchise just to screw it up. Well, that's not really up to Amazon. They might not think they're screwing it up, but if they don't get it right, people just will stop watching. So yeah, I think I do want more people to. I don't want to gatekeep. I do want more people to come into the Lord of the Rings universe and experience what it has to offer, because I actually do think, and I keep talking about this with people all the time, is that the original trilogy is not just an action fantasy movie. There is a lot of good cinema in it, and so there's more to it than just the fantasy battles, and so I want people to experience that. And if Amazon can capture that element, even if they can't capture the look and maybe the exact tone of the original trilogy, there might still be stuff in there for even us to enjoy. While we might be kind of sad it's not living up to the hype of our childhood, but there might still be some elements to it that can still strike the right chord and have those moments that make for great cinema. So yeah, I I hope it's good, but obviously you and I, we're kind of starting to question some of the decisions that were made regarding production of this new series.
yeah, and he says he's hoping it'll bring awareness to what we did to a new generation, basically. And
Exactly.
and those movies hold up. They're 20 years old now. You wouldn't know. They could have been made last year. They still look great.
I know. Like the technology. I mean, there's a reason that Peter Jackson recently sold his VFX studio for like $1 billion recently. Like that, the stuff he created to make Lord of the Rings is is something that goes underappreciated in all the achievements that Lord of the Rings has reached, because the technology he used, like there was no technology, that he had to build it up from the ground up to make it appear the way it does. And like you said, the CGI still holds up. I mean, heck, the acting holds up. You know how you can kind of watch an old action movie from the 90s or 80s, and you kind of laugh at some of the parts that we now consider cheesy? There's none of that in there. There's a few silly lines that people have picked up over the years that we joke about when we watch it. Meat's back on the menu, boys, that kind of stuff. But like that, because it's so good, that does not hinder this movie. And so, yeah, if more people are gonna get involved and see that, and then we're gonna have an even bigger fan base, I'm all for that. I don't think there's any reason to be gatekeeping that. Like, I want more people to experience it because I think it is such a wonderful trilogy that I'm always shocked when people say they haven't seen it or they just didn't like it.
I mean, it does beg the question: what about this trilogy appeals to the new generation that the old one doesn't?
Yeah, so you're right. Like, and this is something that maybe Sam isn't catching on to, but if you like the new Lord of the Rings show, that doesn't necessarily translate to the old trilogy, because if it's going to be so different, and a lot of fans are going to be complaining and whatnot, it's going to be weird to say, okay, because you like that show, you'll like the trilogy. It's not necessarily going to follow. And people might say, I hated the trilogy and I love this show because, it cuts out all the fluff. But to me, that's not fluff. Like, that's needed. It's necessary. I was having this talk the other day with someone saying that movies have gotten really long now. And you can kind of tell when you're watching a movie, you're like, man, this is a long movie. The Lord of the Rings does not feel long to me, even though it clearly is. They're long movies, especially when you watch the extended. And yet, if I watch with someone who's not as big a fan, they will comment saying it's a long movie. And I'm always shocked. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're just getting started. And we haven't left the Shire yet. we have a long way to go. But yeah, so to me, you're right. To me, I think there is at least some people who will make that jump, but how many? That's going to be up to Amazon, really, and how closely they can get a feel going within this show to make that bridge. Because ultimately, that's what Amazon's trying to do, right? Is piggyback off of that product in some way. Like, without Peter Jackson, there's no way Amazon puts out, quarter of or $500 million to make this show. They'll put much less. But with that Jackson film trilogy already establishing a lot of things and just almost, setting the bar, Amazon decides, okay, we think that we can get to that level and we can bring on the old fans, bring in some new. So we'll see. Sean has some maybe high expectations, or just maybe he's trying to be diplomatic, or just, he's trying to look on, stay on the positive side of things, because we haven't even seen an episode yet, and we've already swung from, oh my god, Lord of the Rings show's coming, to, oh, what is Amazon doing? So the fact that we've gone through this whole thing and we haven't even seen the first episode yet, we barely have any clips. There's barely any dialogue from that trailer. It's mostly just random action scenes. So we have nothing to go on. And yet, so I think Sean has a good mindset. I hope we can kind of keep a little bit of it going forward, but yeah, we still have to be critical if it's required. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it for this one. Let us know what you guys think. Is Sean being too optimistic, or is he maybe trying to be diplomatic, maybe get that cameo? What do you guys think? We can't hate on Sean Astin, though. Like, everyone's got their own opinions. We're going to let Sean Astin have his. But yeah.
Yeah, you can't rip on that guy who played what's his name in Stranger Things and in 51st Dates, and Bob in 51st Dates,
Yeah.
right?
And he might have been a Goonies
That old
too.
meme.
Who's this actor? All right. See you guys on the next one.
I regret to announce this is the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell.